So just a bit of housekeeping. So folks, if you have any questions, put up in the chat. We will be recorded. So just to keep that in the whole session is getting recorded. We will not be loading up the complete um, webinar on internet for access, but we will put up a synopsis just to protect some names, etc. If there is something that we want to have as a question, or if it gets individual. So that's the background. Over to you, Mahesh, and thank you very much again.
So firstly, thank you, Ravi, and your team for actually having me, to actually speak about the entire account aggregator system. So I hope to share with you about all the touch points, entities, the kinds of entities who are there in the ecosystem, which will be beneficial to you, I hope, and also for all those who are looking at where you can be an early investor in any of these. I think you'll get an opportunity to get a bird's eye view of this ecosystem. So if it's okay, I will first explain on how it works with an extremely short deck, and then we can directly jump on to like actually the Q&A. Okay, so I will. I hope I'm allowed to. No, okay, I should be allowed to share the screen if it can be activated. That
yeah. 1 second, Mahesh.
Yeah, no
we'll
problem.
do that.
Okay, that's something I should have asked you.
That's fine.
So sometimes too much control is also a pain.
Yeah, you should be able to share it now.
Yes, I see it. What I should do is the desktop and here. I think it is loading. Am I right?
Yeah,
so you can
we can see it.
We can see it. We can see it.
Yeah, great. Oh, see, so I'm not going to get into what you all have heard, about India Stack. Okay, so I see few people are waiting in the lobby with us.
Yeah, I'm taking care of it at the back end.
Okay,
you can continue. Yeah.
Okay, so I think you all know that you have basically the 3 layers of India Stack. Those who are not familiar, you should go and see indiastack.org. You have an what we call an identity layer, and using our Aadhaar, each of us were actually given a number. Okay, then you have a payment layer, and then you have a data layer. So in India, what happened is that with the mobile penetration and the number of the bank accounts we have, we saw that the banking penetration in India was excellent, but when it comes to access to the formal financial services, like whether it's insurance and credit, the formal credit, which means you're able to take a loan from a bank, NBFC, etc., it has been low. Even if you see the number of people who have demat accounts in India, it has been increasing, of course, but it is a bit low. So, why is all of this happening? As I told, with India Stack, we have solved the problem of KYC. You have solved the issue about the payments. Thanks to the UPI, but still you are not able to do a fantastic job in actually underwriting your clients financial data, because it is there across institutions, it is in silos, and these institutions aren't actually connected with each other. It means what? Like, I'm applying for a loan in State Bank of India, but I have a securities, that is the investment, where the data is in CAMS, but very easily I'm not able to share my data from CAMS onto State Bank of India. I can always go and give a hard copy of my financial information, but it is not a tamper proof. And you would agree that there is a lot of friction. Even me, as who is seeking a loan for sharing this data, because I had to take a hard copy and I have to go, yeah, physically and submit, or I need to email the PDF and the bank has to scan them, extract the data. And now all of this is obviously not very scalable, even though it is happening now. And the cost of processing such files are extremely high. So here is the slide, which is the most important actually part of the talk. And at the end of it, you can share your questions, which will be read out. So even before I get on to how the AA framework works, how about I explain to you? I mean, you'll be able to relate well if I explain about the payments. So, for example, if Ravi had to pay me 1,000 rupees and it had to be done online, the only way he could do in the pre-UPI era was I had to share my bank account number with him, and and also the bank name, IFSC actually code, etc. And he had to enter my account number and all of that in his internet actually banking. Wait for half an hour before it gets activated, and only only then he could transfer the amount to me. There's no problem. But if this was a one-time transaction, okay, so the amount of friction you have, the amount of thing you have to undergo, it was a lot, and I may not be comfortable to share my account number with Ravi, because it is a one-time payment, and maybe he has a shop. I entered the shop, how to say, rather I'm the one who has the shop, and and it becomes a problem that you can't go to every shop and give your bank account number, to like actually get the money. Okay, earlier times you were giving the consent to your bank to make the payment, but then came the UPI app. You started giving the consent to make the payment to the UPI app, and you have seen how the number of UPI payments has actually scaled. It now has gone above 7 billion, like every month. It has happened because it is a product which is used in everyday life. Now, at least in Bangalore, like, like when we even want to buy tender coconut on the street or anything on the street, we use the UPI app, and the transactions have taken off. So the secret is the friction has to be removed. So if you apply the same logic in the field of, when you are applying for a loan, the way you share your statements, you are giving the hard copy, and you first have to collate it, from your insurance, investments, the bank statements, and hand it over to the lender. And by the time they get to process it, he may say that, okay, now already it is 15 days since you have submitted all your papers, and so the calendar the month has passed by. So how about you give the statement even for the last month? So again you have to print everything and hand it over to him. He has to scan it and then approve it. So again, it isn't all that scalable. And as I told, the hard copies, etc., are not yet tamper-proof. Now, in account aggregator, what happens is that these account aggregators are RBI licensed entities. So the account aggregators, they actually get what we call an NBFCAA license. Okay, and only when they actually get a license, they're they're able to operate commercially. Now, the uniqueness of this account aggregator ecosystem is it is not for entities only under the RBI, but under all the 4 financial regulators, which is your RBI, SEBI, the insurance regulator is there, and the pension fund regulator, 4 regulators. So the way it has been announced, what we call the AA master directions, any entity which is registered and regulated by any of these four regulators can automatically participate as an FIP, as an FIU. FIP are entities where you hold an account and your data is there. FIU are entities which want to offer you a financial service. It could be a loan, your personal finance management app, financial planning. It could be any of those. So in this ecosystem, you have four players. One is you, the end customer, your FIP, your FIU, and the consent manager. Now, I'm sure all of you are extremely familiar with how to set up your UPI app. That is, you discover your account, you link your accounts. In account aggregator also, it works exactly the same. You download the account aggregator apps. The links for that are there on our site. You download it, you open an account, and using your phone number, the account aggregator app will go and search for if you have an account with a particular bank, the account, the bank or the FIP, verifies it is you, and accounts are linked. So at the end of this, in your account aggregator, you have linked the accounts which you wish to account. I may have 8 bank accounts, but I'm going to link only 4 bank accounts in my account aggregator and my insurance policy, etc. Now, this FIU, I will actually take the example of a bank where you've gone for a loan. So how you have a UPI handle, you will have an account aggregator handle. So you will inform this lender that I have an account aggregator handle. Okay, so this FIU informs your account aggregator that I have applied for a loan. I want a one-time fetch of 6 months of my bank statement. Okay, and the purpose of asking for the data is a loan application, and you also have a field actually called the data life, which says that for what period of time, okay, this FIU will be processing the information. So so you may say that it will be 15 days, because within 15 days for a personal loan, auto loan, a bank is able to tell if you qualify. So in short, the FIU will inform the my account aggregator, I have applied for a loan. It is a one-time fetch. I want 6 months of my bank statement, and the data life is 15 days. My account aggregator will send me a notification that asking, are you okay with all these parameters? If so, you give a consent. When I'm about to give the consent, of the 4 bank accounts I had linked, I can again choose if I want to share the data with all the 4 bank accounts or only 1 bank account. I do all the selection of FIPs and I give the consent. Then the account aggregator will go to the FIP and request the FIP that we want this data. FIP knows that the request has actually come from account aggregator. It is a RBI licensed entity, so it will encrypt the data with the public key of the FIU and send the data, to the account aggregator. And the account aggregator informs the FIU that I have all the information you wanted ready, and the FIU picks up the data from the account aggregator. After the FIU picks up the data, account aggregator deletes the data. Hence, we call it account aggregator is data blind, because first it is the encrypted data which flows through the account aggregator, which the account aggregator is not able to decrypt. And after it is handed over to the FIU, it actually deletes the data. So, here is is one flow. Here, this is an example of a one-time fetch. The other very, very powerful feature of the account aggregator framework is the recurring consent. Whether it is for your wealth management or even for your loan, your lender may want to keep an eye on your financial health. If I give the home loan every 6 months, it may want to get the balances or the statement for the duration of the loan. So in advance, I can give a consent that I am okay with my lender receiving some information, for the period of my loan. So for every month when the lender is going to be pulling my data, there is no need for me to give the consent every month. But every time the lender is pulling my information, the account aggregator informs me, okay, that your data was fetched. All consents are revocable. It means at any point of time, I can revoke a consent. So this is the basics of it. Okay, and you also see in this that you have a GST. So about few months ago, RBI and the Department of Revenue had a handshake, and a GST will be a financial information provider. We hope by end of Jan or in Feb, the users will be able to share, like only few forms at least to start with, from GST. And the roadmap as you go forward, we expect to get income tax, your telecom bills, your provident fund, your DigiLocker is what we aim for. That it has to be part of the account aggregator framework. But for each of these, RBI and the respective ministry will have to come to an agreement that they're okay with the data flowing through the account aggregator. So as you can see that we are aiming get towards all the financial data of the citizen should be easily shareable by this by any of us, whether it's an individual or a company, using the account aggregator, which is more what we call it is a consent manager. So what happens is, some of the things which has actually changed is for the individual. Okay, there, you have a very easy way to share your data in a very secure way. Most importantly, in a consented way. In the UPI, you see all your past transactions. In the account aggregator also, you can see with whom all you have shared the data. Because this end-to-end, your process is completely digital, it gives a hope for you to see, the small, the ticket size loans, becomes a possibility. For example, for MSMEs, the requirement for formal credit, which has not been able to be met, the gap is almost 25 lakh crores every year. So it is a huge opportunity. Okay. Now, if you see for the market players, if any of the lenders are here or anything, they do experience a lot of drop-offs, because when I go to bank and they ask me, give me this paper, give me that paper, I forgot, I have to go home and again bring it. I'll say, you forget about it, because here it is, everything is digital. The amount of drop-offs they see during the journey has come down. Now, many lenders have already told us the fraud which actually comes out of the bank statements has gone to zero. It is anywhere from 0.5 to 4% of fraud happens in the bank statements which are submitted. It has gone down to actually zero, which means the money which an institution was spending on the fraud detection is actually gone, because now there is no need. And FIP, which it shares the information with FIU, it includes its digital signature. So if anybody tampers with the data, it will break, and FIU is able to confirm if this information is tamper-free or actually not. Now, and I also explained to you about the recurring consent, because a lender is able to keep an eye on the financial health of the borrower. So they get early warning signals that, hey, it appears that his income or expenses are going up. I think we need to engage with the borrower if his loan has to be restructured. So all these kinds of things you are able to do. Now, it is for the first time you are easily able to go across the four regulators, all types of data you are able to share. Before AA came, all of this, even if it was actually done, it was with a lot of friction. So the entire ecosystem has been growing, as you can see in the diagram. The number of technology service providers has been actually growing. I think we have some 50, 60 of them already. 8 account aggregators have an operating license. 8 of them have an in-principle license. So when you apply for an account aggregator license, you get an in-principle, and within a year you need to apply for an operating license. So you have about 16 of them. You have FIPs and FIUs who are in this ecosystem. You have about 1.1 billion accounts who are having the option to use account aggregator now, which means that for if any of you on this call are having a singly held account with your top 10 private banks and any of the public sector banks, you will be able to use the account aggregator ecosystem. And about 3.5 million data shares have already happened, based on which the loans have already been actually given. And about 1,700 crores worth of loans using AA was given up to end of September. In about 5 months or 6 months of operation, about 1,700 crores of loans were given. So this is the current ecosystem, who all have gone live. About it has increased. We need to update. About 120 institutions have already gone live as FIUs, as the consumers. About 27 of them are providing the data today. As I mentioned, all the public sector banks are already actually live, on the ecosystem. So I think I spoke to you about all these things. So of the 3.5 million consents given, about 2/3 of it was for lending, and about 1/4 was for opening either a demat account or a personal finance management app, and a small part of it is just started is being used for pension fund and income estimation for the life insurance. See, in insurance, when they give for the life insurance, they want to estimate your income. So while you will be going to give you have to now give the pay slips. Instead, if you are able to digitally give your the bank's statements on the fly, the insurance company is able to estimate how much is your your monthly or yearly income. So as you can see here, you see only the advantages of using AA, and I would say that it will become mandatory for each FIU if they want to remain in the game. Competitively, they will have to use this digital public infrastructure. Okay, these are some of the screenshots which you will be able to see. And lastly, and we are a Section 8 company. It is a not-for-profit entity. We are not an account aggregator. We are an industry body for entire ecosystem, not only for account aggregators, but for FIPs, FIUs, technology service providers, privacy experts. Everybody are actually part of Sahamati. We have mainly 4 pillars. Where in the first one, as you can see, we go and we do the actual education, or what we call advocacy for the ecosystem, to explain to them on what AA is and why they should join. And we have come up with few of the collaborative tools, like reciprocity. We ensure that anybody who wants to be an FIU should be an FIP, and we will be coming up with a dispute resolution platform. See, because this is across the sectors. If a bank has an issue with a SEBI entity, how will they resolve this if they have a dispute? So for that, we have, we have enrolled about 7 to 8 online dispute resolution platforms who will be providing the service for the entities. Okay, now you'll have at least 10,000 FIUs in few years and hundreds of FIPs and say about 20, 30 account aggregators. So each of them, if they have a bilateral agreement, it gets complicated. So Sahamati has actually come up with a standardized legal agreement which all entities are signing. You will not have the commercial terms, but the do's and don'ts, code of conduct, etc., is actually part of it. And we have already started a working group on how to prevent fraud in our account aggregator. We are at to scale, but we are learning from the UPI system and implementing and introducing the gating mechanisms by which the fraud won't appear. Okay, and see, and all these standards, all the schemas, like example, the bank statement schema are standardized. So whether the bank statement is from SBI or HDFC or Axis, the format is the same. The insurance policy from LIC or anybody else is the same. So while the standards have been announced by by Rebit, okay, somebody had to check if they have implemented, each entity has implemented according to standards. So Sahamati has developed a certification framework, okay, to check if their implementation is actually actually correct. And we have standardized, or we have developed the guidelines on when you are going to onboard a new customer, right? It should be standardized. If you go to AA1, if their flow is different, AA2 the flow is different. Okay, then the end user is actually you're confused. So all these kinds of work is what Sahamati does. Yeah, that's it from me, guys. I'm happy to take your questions.
So let me start off, Mahesh. I think that's good. We'll wait while others start to put in their questions. Two things. I know your piece of being data blind and saying I will take this for a certain period of time, I think is a big boon, right? Where you go back and say, otherwise you have a lot of the old mechanism where you sign off and you attest and you don't know where it is going and how long it is lying with anybody else, right? I think there's a whole set of things that come in. What was interesting is your point on MSME coming in and taking over 50% of the transactions. Now, that is a significant change. So, do you see this as although it started off on the personal side, do you see this extending to business and not just MSMEs? Do you see this as a common framework for everything that is going to happen as a financial transaction?
See, the one reason why you see MSMEs is as of now only the singly held accounts have actually gone live. So many of the MSMEs are having a sole prop account, a current account with the bank. Obviously, the corporate accounts are waiting. The corporates are waiting for their accounts to go live on on AA. So you will see that as you go forward. I'm saying to you, which you can write down, that in this calendar year, okay, you will see an exponential growth in the usage, of A, because all types of information will go. Now by Feb, you will see SEBI entities, which is the CAMS, K-Infotech, NSDL, CDSL, etc., will go live. Okay, so until now it was not there. See, insurance will actually go live.
So your when you say you have set up the framework in terms of data exchange structure that you have done, is it already active from? Is it only for bank statements, or we are saying when you say go live, we will have the insurance policies all in the same format?
Already about 4 insurance actually companies are live,
Right.
But everybody wants LIC to go live, which is the state bank of insurance sector. So we do expect it to go by actually the financial year. So because they are part of the framework, all four regulators.
Right.
So everybody has to go live. I mean, it is a guideline. It is up to an entity whether they want to go live or not. But the government is heavily pushing and encouraging that you all have to go live. Mainly because the citizen benefits.
Correct. So and so is this also a way for you? There is a whole lot of questions coming up. I just want to finish and get my piece in. So while that is there, because you have all of them have the visibility, do you think this is also going to reduce the cost of lending itself or cost of borrowing itself? Because I can play off one against another and say, give me a better rate, right?
Yes. So see, with AA, what happens is, number one, your quantity, which is the number of loans and bank or NBFC is able to give in a day, will increase because everything is digital. All the data which comes is machine readable. Okay, so the number of accounts and the number of applications they look into, I'm not saying it will be approved, but it will be looked into, will increase, which is the quantity. Then the quality increases, by which they improve the quality of their, the loan books, because the NPAs come down.
Right.
Okay, the NPAs, number one, like because the information was good, they were able to process. Number two, account aggregator has a recurring consent.
Right.
So even before you tank or even before you run away, okay, the thing, okay, they're able to see, able to see some signals. So if a bank is active, that is bank or NBFC or entity.
So I'm going to start looking at some of the questions that are coming up. The first one I think is just a validation. FIPs and FIUs both need to be regulated, right?
So
both are regulated.
According to the regulation, it is not there. But if you are an FIU, you need to be an FIP. So many FIUs actually came to us and said, we want to be FIU only. I said, fantastic. Actually, everybody wants to be only FIU. You can go live as FIUs only. Right. But you will not have any FIPs, so you can sit and wait forever for somebody to give you the data. So if you want to be an FIU, you got to be an FIP. Okay, right. So we and the ecosystem we actually informed in the starting itself that you need to be FIP also. Now the ecosystem has come to terms. I mean, it's pretty good.
Right. So start with a few questions. I know there were a few. Let me start with one which says, who is now bearing the cost? What is the cost to the consumer? Or like UPI, somebody is bearing the cost, and at some stage there will be a cost associated with this.
Yeah. So see, I mean, as you would agree, I mean, I don't think anything is free. There is no free lunch. While you all will tell that UPI is free, it is actually your tax money only which is being paid there. Okay, so you are paying for it. Okay, so that is there. But in AA, account aggregators are free to charge the end customer or the FIU for this service. It will be difficult for the account aggregator to charge the end customer. Okay, so they charge the FIU, and the FIU ultimately is charging the customer. I mean, ultimately he or she is.
So from a usage, the role of the technology service providers, right? Today I saw there are 50 of them. Yeah. So are they now building applications around this structure? What seems to be the action on that area?
Yeah. So you have the three types of your technology service providers. I've already shared the link. Okay, so you have one for the data standards, that is, which will implement the FIP module, FIU module. FIP to share the data, FIU to consume the data from the account aggregator. So, one is that. The second category is for your data analytics. Okay, now as an FIU, I actually got my data. What next? Okay, so it is to improve it. See, now you may think that, but the banks or the lenders are already You're doing that. Okay, but now they have a something new. Now all the data is coming here digitally. Number one. Number two, it is a different kind of data. So their underwriting module now will not be based only on your bank statement. They'll say, hey, I'm also getting his investment. I'm also getting his insurance. So now they want to combine all the signals and then decide. So for them, there's a great opportunity there in you're providing that.
And it could also be, as you said, one of the slides, robo advisory and a few other things. I can automate this whole, either the calculation process or to go back.
The whole thing.
Right?
Correct. And the third one we have is for which many entities in India ignore is the UI UX. Okay, so you may have a product, but it needs to be improved. So we have the technology service providers who help an entity to improve the user journey.
Right. So you also talked about the regulators, right? RBI, SEBI, IRDI, pension
and PFRDA.
PFRDI. Now we talked about it just before this. So for the rest of the team, Protean, which is part of the PF structure, is already coming onto this platform. Correct?
Yes. Right. Yeah, you're coming as an account aggregator.
Yeah. So the moment this happens, do you think there is going to be a regulatory push for asking everybody to say this is the only way I'm going to do and stop some of the other historical processes?
I would say that the entities only will say that.
Okay.
It isn't even the see, obviously it won't happen in a year. Right. If you fast forward 5 years.
Right.
Okay. So I'm saying to you, even if you go to any shop and you give cash, he'll say, no, you pay by UPI. Because the change gain and all the crap is gone. Right. So it is in the interest of the FIU to say that if you give me through AA, I'm going to give you a discount on the fee, or he may tell if you give me through the physical or a non-AA, the our charges
processing fee will go up and whatever.
That's it, and it is only fair.
Right. So
Mahesh, Sagar here. There's one question here, very interesting question. For an investor, I'm assuming is an investor, so active investor. So there is a question on how to evaluate business models of an AA, right? And they all provide the same information. So in a sense, there'll be similar pricing over a period. That's his question.
See how to actually evaluate. Is that it is how would you do for the UPI apps? So even here for the account aggregators to see about how good their app is, the UI UXs, and are they wanting to focus on a particular segment of India? India is extremely diverse, so it may be only for tier 1, only for the HNIs. An app may be interested, or he may want to actually go to tier 2, tier 3. So you will have to see that, and you will have to see that the number of transactions that account aggregator is informing you that okay, they foresee, which they'll be able to service.
Okay. So it also could be some of the other pieces. So there was another question that came in to say, what other secondary information? Maybe I can bring in social data. Maybe I can bring in other, LinkedIn data. I don't know, right? That's also other things that they can add value to this, try and figure out something else. Is that a possibility?
You see, this information which is going through AA now, it is not public data.
Right.
Social media, LinkedIn, unless your profile is closed or locked or something, it is public data. So you don't need my consent.
Right.
So there is no need for theoretically for it to flow through A. So this is where the TSP will come. He may tell that I will be able to also get social media feed for the bank. So all these extra services the TSP can provide.
So just like GST coming in, is there a possibility? Let's take something like motor insurance, health insurance, motor insurance. Maybe Is there a possibility that they will also have a claim ratio or what happened as a claim history, etc., being available over a period of time?
So it's actually a good point. See, you have like about 23 types of data, okay, which have been announced by Rabbit, which is owned by RBI. All the schemas are there, and you can see what the actual the fields are there in each schema. I don't know if the claim. I mean, I don't recall if the claims information, but all the schemas, I would say there is a scope of improvement. So what happens is once this goes live, you will see in a year the industry will say that the schema needs to be upgraded.
And the current existing rating agencies, let's take CIBIL as an example,
Correct.
right? How is that? How are they going to manage? What do you think is their role? Will they also be able to provide some kind of can they also get in as an FIU, use that and give a new rating, etc.?
Correct, exactly. So they want to be an FIU. Okay, they want to be an FIU, but see what has happened is, according to the SICRA Act, from what I've been told by them, that they can use only the liability information for the scoring.
Okay.
Okay, not your your bank statement, your FDs, your investment. Okay, but the rating agencies are now interested to use all types of data, which you agree to share to improve the scoring, your model, okay, itself. But for that, RBI has to approve. Okay, that you can become an FIP and an FIU. So currently, while they are interested, they're yet to be part of it, but we are not all that concerned about it because we have enough work to do to first get the ecosystem up and running.
Got it. But from there is also a piece that this model can be extended to non-core financial information also, right? Take, for example, healthcare,
yes,
motor claim, all of these kind of processes.
Yes. See, like actually in the parallel thing for a health, it has already come, no? It has already come, but I think it is few hospitals are joined.
Right.
But we are hoping someday that information also can flow through this same account aggregator.
Right. So while you talked about the fact that the fraud has come up, because I have a consent, is there a mechanism for me to withhold consent on a few accounts that I think are a dodgy one, and allow only the good ones to come through?
Yes, you can. But what happens is that they're also pulling your credit score.
Right.
So over there, it may show with whom you took a loan.
Right.
So some things over there it will get exposed.
So how do you think it's going to overlap with the Oken model, OCEN model that?
Oken is So you do have many people who you confuse with Oken and AA. We are complementary. So each one feeds to other. So what is happening with Oken in one line? I'll tell you. It is your communication between a marketplace and the lender has been standardized. So if example you take a bank bazaar or so, which is working with so many of the lenders, okay, the APIs with each of them may be same or may not be same, and the amount of money you spend on the maintenance becomes high. So the communication between the all lenders and all platforms have been standardized. Now the marketplace will give the lead, okay, to each of the lenders, and the lender will fire up and to use account aggregator to get my account aggregator. I mean, my financial data. So in combination, I mean, these two are extremely powerful, offering for the banks and NBFCs.
Right. And one more question, and says, what is the maximum duration of data life that an FIU can keep that as per a regulator? Is there a regulator requirement? Can't hold it.
Yeah, data life is the period where you can process the data. It is not talking about saving the data.
Saving data, correct.
Okay, so each regulator may have 5 years, 8 years, or whatever. You are allowed to save the data, but you are not allowed to touch the data to actually cross-sell things.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
sorry, Ravi. Mahesh, there's one question that got missed out. This is from a participant called Shubham. Basically, he's asking if some banks have not onboarded some of these AAs, how will the data flow work?
Correct.
Right?
So,
And yeah,
yeah. So, okay, to start with, this architecture is, completely interoperable for the end user. That is, the RBI, the way indirectly it has said, the FIPs have to work with all account aggregators. FIUs, it's up to them with whom they work. But as a data provider, they need to work with all A's. To give an example, when you go to a shop and when you see your QR code, he's not saying that you can pay me only with the phone pay or only with me. You can use any app. Okay, so even here it will be that way, that you can use any app to share with any of the institutions. So while few banks are working with all AAs, others are catching up. And over time, if a bank refuses to get onto AA or works with only one AA, which is not as good as another AA, you will see the consumers shifting their business from one bank to another bank. It
okay.
is just to an example. Will you go and open a bank account with any bank, okay, who is not offering the UPI facility? You will not.
Got it. So, as an extension to that, there's the question that he's asking is, why is there a need for banks to individually link to all AAs? Why not just do it with one and automatically it is picked up by others?
No, see, with UPI, you have a central switch which goes, actually every call goes through NPCI. Am I right? But in AA, it is a federated architecture. So you are not going to depend on any AA, because if you or the bank works with only one AA, which in turn talks to other AAs, and if that AA is down, the entire business is down. Okay, but the technology service providers who are providing what we call the FIP module and FIU module, it is inbuilt automatically. It works with all account aggregators. It is a matter of just switching on and off whether they want to work with somebody or not. So it is not as complicated as it is projected. Whether it is 1 AA, 15 AAs or so, it is exactly the same.
Okay, Mahesh, this gentleman, Shubham, would like to ask a question. I'm going to unmute him for a minute. Just give me a second, please.
While you do
Shubham,
that,
you need 1 second, Shubham. Just give me a minute. I am searching for your profile here. Okay, I got it. Hang on. Why don't you ask a question now, please? Unmute yourself, please.
Yeah. Thanks, Vidya. Thank you, Mahesh, sir. Great presentation. Just have a main question that has been wondering in my mind, like how the whole ecosystem will earn the money. Like, is FIP will receive anything in the future? How much A is making? Like, any plans for that? And is there a limit for what FIU pays to a TSP or to a AA, anything?
Okay, there are no guidelines and regulations for what the FIU or FIP has to pay. The technologies, guide. Even now, the banks are working with your TSPs. So it's not A has not introduced anything new. Even when they went live on UPI, they are using a TSP. So it is the same. Okay, FIPs currently are offering all information for free. See, their opportunity is in FIU. They should not worry a whole lot on the cost incurred on the FIP. For the banks and NBFCs, as I told, you have a gap of 25 lakh crores of loans to be given to MSMEs every year. So they need to focus on the untapped market where they're able to earn the money. Okay, even in every field, insurance, the penetration is low. In securities, it is low. The pension fund, it is extremely low. So one has to see how big the pie can be and what is the untapped market, and not worry a whole lot on the FIP side.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I think we have a couple of minutes, so I'll just do a bit of blue ocean trip thing, right? So in some ways, Mahesh, India has taken a lead, like India Stack, we have taken a lead as compared to the world, right? So maybe 2 minutes on, is there an equivalent across the world, or is this India's moment to go and show the world how this needs to be done?
No, it is, see, when it comes to the digital public infrastructure, the DPI, as we call it, India is actually leading the way. Now, I just came back, from Kolkata, where they had a 3-day event, of the G20, which was focused on financial services. I had gone for a day only to see. And the focus the whole day was only on DPI. Okay, and the folks from across the world had come, and everybody said that India is far ahead. There is no comparison. See, the number of accounts we have on AA is 1.1 billion. If you see in open banking, even after 7 years, 8 years, it is 30 million. Okay, we are far ahead. I mean, there is no comparison. And I think until now, Indians were not used to saying, I am the leader. I want to be a follower. Now things have, unfortunately, for the Western world, it has changed. That we are the leaders, and we are leading. So now we need to change our entire in the way we think and say that we are better than others.
So,
Right.
Mahesh, one question here before Ravi kind of concludes it. One Mr. Kapil is asking, what is the maximum duration of data life that an FIU can hold as per regulator requirement?
No, I thought one
Yeah,
I
he's answered
explained.
that. It
I've
says,
answered it. So
Okay.
maybe I've already answered. See, the maximum is the storage is according to the regulation. The data life is equal to the time when I want to process it. That should be somewhat related to the service you provide. If I have a loan for 1 year, but you say the data life is 8 years, it is obviously wrong.
so there is one more question. Is there any special focus on to onboard RRBs and cooperatives as
Yes,
part of
yes,
it?
very much, very much. We are working extremely closely, with a NABARD. Okay, we are working who are have said in the first batch, some 15, 20 of them will go live. So we are on the job, but with them it takes a little more time because the PSBs etc. are a lot more technologically prepared than all the other smaller ones.
Yeah. So I think a last question, and this is my personal questions. While this is all fine for, as you said, for proprietary, individual, because this is all consent led, right?
Correct.
From a framework perspective, legal framework, what do you think is going to happen on joint accounts, company accounts, where a board of director has to have? So you think that's also going to transition to this because everybody needs the digital record in the backend, right? It's just
Yes.
that you have to put together a consent framework that is almost federated or that is
Correct.
participative, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So we are actually on the job because technically it isn't a challenge to actually have the joint account and the corporate account, but exactly for the reason you told that how exactly it should be done. Even though it is a corporate account where we both are the signatory, is it okay only for me to give the consent to share the data, or we actually both have to give? In my opinion, it should be only me because I am not transacting, I'm not transferring money, I'm only sharing the data. It's like I am going to a bank to submit the papers. I'm not getting a loan because the bank will ask for the board resolution where we both sign. All that will happen. So if we start saying everybody has to give the consent, I think the friction will be high.
Yeah, there is a question. I'm not too sure how relevant that is. Why is consent required from a customer if he wants some loan service? They should not have the liberty of sharing info data selectively. I think that's fundamentally against the whole consent is the core of this whole account aggregator model, right?
No, no, no. They actually got it wrong. We are saying, that I don't know why I'm not able to open it easily. The user is actually giving the consent to share all my bank accounts, one account, two accounts. The beauty of you have to see, Ashish, is the control is with the customer. If you see it very closely, he or she decides to share or not, and how much to share. So it is on the right track, and we are saying it is because of the liberty only you are having that consent manager where you are able to see and say what I want to share, what I don't want to share.
Yeah. So selective sharing, Ashish, is actually the core basis of this particular one, right? I think we'll stop at this. Otherwise, we'll
specific FIUs only. It is specific for each FIU. If you have applied for 4 loans at 4 banks, you will get 4 separate consents. It is extremely granular.
Yeah, I think just hit the deadline. So I want to kind of thank you for this. This has been very interactive. I know there will be a whole lot of other questions.
Sure.
For the rest of the team, if you have questions, please forward it to us. We will collate. Yes. And Mahesh, we can come back to you and go through the process. But this has been fantastic.
Follow us on Twitter and LinkedIn because we keep on updating there about Account Aggregator. Sure. And all that will be there.
Sure. And as I said, look at sahamati.org. You will find a lot of the data and the information.
Sahamati.org.in. I insisted that we do the .in.
Okay, all right. It has changed from when I used to download data. That means. Yeah. Right? Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Thanks, Mahesh. Thanks so much.
Okay, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.